Hi everyone, just give me a second or two. I need to check on something. I need to make sure everything is working and that you can hear me. If you can't hear me, then don't worry about it. Doopity-doop-bop, doopity-doop. Okay, we're good. Sorry about that, guys. Alright, I'm trying something different. I'm not doing OBS. Oh my gosh, OBS. Whoa. That's new. Okay. Right. I am trying the Twitch Studio Beta instead of OBS, which is super easy for me now. Me and OBS just had a little argument. We're basically just saying, nah. I'm like, nah, I got a podcast to do. I don't have time for your whining today. So I'm just like, well, trying something different. So it's a little bit scuffed right now, so apologies. I tried to get everything set up, but it's been a while since I streamed on my computer, so it's gonna be a little bit scuffed and messed up for a bit. Let's see. Give me 1 second, guys. Hello. Very sorry about that. Technology just likes to complain when I haven't used it in a while, so it likes to do that. Alright, I am doing something a bit different. If you haven't known me before, I usually stream games. I'm fine, thanks for asking. I usually stream games, but I'm in the credential program, and I can't really, stream games all the time. So I'm doing a podcast instead, where I just talk about what's been going on each week while I'm in the program, and also just talk about myself. Sad? I think it's just been a long week and technology just fussing with me. It's just kind of annoying when you're having to set up and you're using that one thing you used for a while, and it's just like, oh yeah, not gonna work. So right. I'm gonna get to my notes. If I can get to my notes without stinking ads. Okay, thank you. I tend to be hard on myself for a lot of reasons. But I'm gonna get to what I wanted to talk about today. Week 1 was a very long week for me. It was like it was more like introduction and trying to remember which classes were where. So my mind is all over the place. It's been one of those really long weeks. But, yeah. While we're in the midst of talking about technical issues, while we're talking about technical issues, on Monday, one of my professors, there was an echo issue, and I had to listen to her with an echo problem. And whatever. I had to listen to her with an echo problem, and it's kind of really distracting to it's really distracting when I'm trying to learn and listen and everything. But while we were in class, she told us to do this letter by name thing. So my name is spelled Kathryne. So for the K, I put kindness, A poet, T, Twitch streamer. H, I put something different, but I'm redoing it for the stream. I redid it for the stream. It's Harry Potter fan. R for my cat, Roxy. N for nerdy. I'm not ashamed. I'm actually quite proud of it, so. And nerd is cool. And E for empathy. We all just got to know each other better. Really, it was everybody was nervous. We're all just kind of getting to know each other better. But for those that don't know, I have a bachelor's degree in child and adolescent studies, along with a AA degree in child development. That's why my podcast is called Teacher Notes. It's basically just me talking about my journey to being a teacher and what's been happening in the present and what's been my journey from the past. Oh, awesome. Yeah, mainly we're just we were just trying to Mondays were building up nerves. We're just trying to get through it all. And one of the things I did do was quote Winnie the Pooh, which the quote is, "You're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and stronger and smarter than you think." I like that quote because brave goes with believe, strong and seem, and smart goes with think. That's how I've always remembered it. And also, it's just a very simple line. I really love it. I think it's encouraging, to say the least. Right. So we were trying to get this art kit, and I think this week is just full of things happening, from technical issues to people having shipments behind to textbooks to textbooks being sold out or whatever. It was just a long week of either the program is struggling with stuff or some students are struggling finding the books. It was just I'm trying to be prepared, and it seems like those around me were struggling. Don't get me wrong, I was struggling too, actually. Tuesday was just me getting some homework done. Wednesday No, Monday was an online class. Wednesday and Friday were all in person. And to make note, I haven't been to an in-person class since last year in the spring of term of 2020. And I took Harry Potter class in college around the time of the pandemic, when the lockdowns happened and everything changed. That was a nightmare. And I've been to the school a few times to see it empty. Like a ghost. I've made poems about it because I can't get it out of my head. So I walk. So imagine me having my normal commute, trying to get used to the feeling that things are slightly normal. I walk onto the campus. It's a beautiful campus. Very beautiful. Lots of places to walk around. You literally love it if you like the blending of plant life and school. I like to think it has more of a modern aesthetic of nature and city life. That's how I've looked at it. So imagine, and it was so sad when nobody was there. Like, no one. So imagine me looking on the campus, seeing people with masks. I didn't care about the masks, I just thought, this is normal. This is what it should be. This is how it should feel. And that's literally how I felt, and I was happy. I was happy to see people and things look and feel normal. So of course on campus I went straight to this building. So imagine these two little things. I wish I haven't used this besides OBS, so I need to play with it a bit more. But there's a building in the middle, and there are these two buildings, a bunch of others here. I need to get to this building, but for class, I'm going to this building to get the art class, or to get the art kit that I'm supposed to have for my art class later on that day. I knew they were out when I went Monday. So all I really did was went on a very long walk. Or at least went on an adventure. That's a better way. I went on an adventure. And it was just at least a nice walk. I get the art kit first thing I do. And then I get back to class. Or at least I go to class. Because I knew I only had just enough time to get to the class. To get to the art kit. Where the art kit was. And then get to class. Because I knew that if they were right in, I needed to get it. Because by the time the art class came, they were out. They were going like hotcakes. And that was kind of mind-boggling, that my first instinct was to get the art kit while everybody else didn't. Well, there were about a few people that did, that thought ahead like me. But I was just fathomed that it was sold out. And to put this even more interesting, the people in charge of all this were trying to make sure everybody got it, but the shipment got late, and now they're having to do more. I feel sorry for them. I really do. It must not be fun. Also, to make note, around Wednesday, I didn't know where I was going to be placed yet. Which school I was going to go to student teach. It's not like a TA, it's more, it starts off like you're learning from the teacher, so you're the student first, but it slowly goes to TAing, I like to think, and then you eventually have to step in as the main teacher. And I have to do that for like 1 week. Thinking about that just makes me nervous. Like, oh, lovely. Just when I need to. The one thing I've heard constantly is get used to being uncomfortable. And I'm like, okay. I gotta get used to being uncomfortable in situations. And when I got to so circling back to what happened to class, I just sat in the class in my own little bubble, just trying to like cool down and just trying to mentally chill before I have to like focus. It's just how I transition to class. During class though, it was math, or at least a math for educators, for teachers that will teach about math for elementary school kids or whatever. One of this math teacher, instead of going through the syllabus and all the usual jargon, usual lingo that every student is probably used to on the first week of school by now, that gets really dry, she just decided to do group work instead, or like in the beginning, get us more used to my classmates / block mates, because I'm in the program and we're all the same. All of my classes are with the same people, so we're all like in the same block or in the same class. We're all in the same group together. So it's kind of like what elementary school is, where the students are used to with being with the same people, just going by another grade, unless that's changed. I was used to the same group of people growing up. Something I can talk about when I get there. I mentioned in class, because it was one of those getting to know you things, and the teacher basically said, like, we were supposed to do numbers. Sorry. We were supposed to do numbers that associated with something of our lives. For example, I picked 4 leadership roles. I think it's technically 5. I've been a photographer for the Act Now Club back in high school. I've been vice president of the Child Development Club in community college. I've been liaison for 2 for 2 clubs, because I was trying to get them both to work together. And I've been vice president. I've been treasurer of the Harry Potter Club and also president of the Harry Potter Club. I didn't put the liaison part because I don't usually see it as something of an official title, because it wasn't like the paperwork wasn't done. That was just something they called me, because I was always working my butt off to try to get both clubs to, like, the 2 clubs I was in to, like, collaborate. So they just called me the liaison for that reason. And as I'm, like, talking about it, I'm realizing I've been in these leadership roles because I've stepped up. And I'm mentioning this to other people along with myself because I need to be reminded of this. I need to be reminded of my accomplishments and the things I've done, because too often I'm hard on myself. I'm usually strict with myself. And I need to learn to accept or remind myself I have all these accomplishments and I should be proud of that. By the way, not easy. The other thing I noted in class that I put on for here in this podcast is the concept of math needing to be more positive than a gatekeeper. For those of you that probably don't notice or don't know that, I'll explain. Math has always been this subject where it shows off your intelligence. However, people always associate math with something like statistics or science or something that would associate being smart. Sometimes they even use math to kind of control certain things. I think, sadly, in tests or in SAT tests or something along those very, very important tests you take in life. Some people have used math as sort of a way to keep people in their little boxes, which is what, sadly, in the past society has viewed, especially in this country. I'm not gonna lie. For some reason, in this country, we have this perspective. We like to section things. We like to put things in boxes. We have a thing. Why? I don't know. When it comes to math, it always shows off as you're either smart or you're not. And especially if the teacher's teaching you only their way, not maybe there's another way to solve a problem. That's essentially what math is. It's a problem and you need to solve it. Let's not don't let the looks fool you. It may seem like only smart people would know math. No. It's just a problem you can solve. Does it matter how you solve it? Not really. Even though algebra and all these other rules, they may say that. But if you found a different way to solve fractions, why not do it that way? Why go through this? I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I kept seeing my voice go to the yellow, so sorry if my voice was loud. Right. Point is, what my teacher was trying to teach us is the concept of making math more positive, more encouraging as to maybe finding the solution. Doesn't matter how, it just matters that you figure out a way to get there. So instead of just showing how to do it, you show the problem and then you see where you see how they find the solution to the problem. You see where they go. And then you talk about who is the closest to what maybe the actual answer is. And figure out maybe tweaks or something. I don't know. It's not really, it's a better solution than just showing one way to do it. But nothing is really perfect. No system is perfect. There's going to be flaws. There's going to be errors. There's going to be all these things. It matters is how you get there. It matters is how you find the solution to the problem. Which was nice because I often believe that there is more ways to solve a problem. And if people say you don't have a choice, you technically do. If you don't think about it, just think about what choices are available, even if they seem impossible. There's always a choice. You can choose to follow the path of your dreams, or you could choose a path that is helpful to your family or helpful to your life. Something of your choice. So yeah, math has been more of a symbol in the past as negative. And my teacher wants to share that needs to change. And I agree. I'm gonna get off my soapbox about that. Our class was fun. Oh my gosh. I love my art professor. My art professor basically taught the idea of creativity is everywhere, even in places where you think they wouldn't. Engineering, that can be creative. I mean, have you seen the engineers that create the Disneyland rides? Disney rides at all? Come on, you gotta admit. Half of the people, if not all the people that work on those rides, have to get creative somehow. Animation, same thing. Just think outside the box. I literally just listened to pretty much almost every word my professor said, because she believes that creativity is everywhere and that schools sideline arts for sports. And that's actually been a thing in the past. I remember art classes were being pushed aside, and sometimes even PE as well, because of the Great Recession. Things would be sidelined. It was just like academics and nothing else, and that literally was not what I believed. I don't believe that you can't sideways art. You can't just say PE is, you can't just say PE's gone. Like, you can do that, but that's not helpful to the students. That they need to move. That they need a creative outlet because, well, students are still people. People that go through stuff. People that need something to bring an outlet. Such as dancing, such as music, such as drawing, such as, oh, I don't know, maybe making a video and doing something silly. Students need something else besides the typical academic stuff. Because you can't just sideways art and think that they know all this. If society wants them to be where they expect, you gotta give them the tools so they can try. My point is, creativity for so long has been sideways, and society or people up top has always viewed art this way, which annoys me to death. Annoys me a lot. I mean, I could talk all day about this, but my point being, that creativity is important in life. It helps you think outside the box in math. And I'm not kidding. I'm one of those people that likes to think outside the box. That's why I take leadership roles. I sometimes see a problem. And I want to find a solution. I want to work with people. I want sort of a compromise and a solution. And the fact that society or people that have power just ignore it, push it aside, or just crumble the piece of paper, throw it away, is super annoying. I don't like it when schools cut off arts because they think that's just the easiest one to get rid of because it's like, oh, they don't need art. Lies. I love art. As a child, I've loved math versus English because English was difficult. I loved art because I was just expressive. I loved drawing. Sometimes I could just draw something or color something. I just loved being creative. I still do to this day. It's like creativity is in my blood. Kind of literally. I was named after which I'll get to in a sec. I was named after a artist from my mother's side. My great grandmother apparently was a watercolor artist who did environmental paintings. So she would paint environments, which is why I'm like good at drawing or creating environments. Ironically enough. Actually, that's not ironic, that's genetics. Because sometimes it passes on in time, for those of you that don't know. And I had to talk about my name for Friday afternoon's class. Get to that in a minute. But yeah, my point is, when my teacher was talking about that, my art teacher was talking about the creativity, she literally was speaking the same thing I have felt for years. I love her to bits. It was just one class and I want more. One class left me a huge impression. I swear sometimes it was like I was looking at someone who has the similar personality to me. Which is nice because it makes me feel better that I'm not the only one that feels this way, that is very passionate, and someone mentioned she's bubbly. I think I'm just more passionate and energetic, but it's still like the same vibe for me. It was really a good day. So yeah, I knew art class was going to be my favorite. After that on Wednesday, I went to the Fullerton Public Library, which basically means I went to the library for a reason. Because Monday's class, I needed to get books. I needed to find a children's book, and I wasn't going to spend money on. I wasn't going to spend more money. I was looking in this house trying to finding the book that I wanted to read, but I couldn't. So I just decided to do the smart thing. Just use the one resource that is the smartest thing I've ever done. Go to the library. I mean, seriously. If you're doing children's books, just go to the library. I mean, that's what they're for. So to save me on some money and to use a public resource, I decided to try the library. One of the few places not many people will go to in this time. I think that was a smart choice. Coffee. So I'm getting the library card, and make a note to keep this in mind. It was hot when I walked over there. It was like 90-degree California weather. Those of you that lived in 100 degrees and think that's nothing, okay, that's fair. You live in probably harder places than I do. But for me, if you live in California and it's 90-degree weather and heat, ugh. Yeah, no. Me, heat, no. Just no. And no. Right. So I get the library card, put my stuff down, go to the children's area to get books. Now, this is just me that I need to get over this. It kind of felt a little weird walking into the children's section, but it was for an assignment, so I knew I kind of had to. But I had to get used to walking in there because as a teacher, I'm going to have to get used to that. And I won't be looked at as a child. That was like a sort of bias I needed to get over. So I just went over, and there's a lot of books. So I had a long day. I was already stimulated, like overstimulated. So I'm just trying to find the right books for this one assignment, which was only going to be for a minute. But, I wanted to get the book checked out. I wanted to do it right. All the jazz. And there's also 2 other books that I plan on reading. One is Holes from, the Hole that was based off of the movie that the book is based off of. You get the point. Good movie, by the way. As to the book, I bet it's also good. And the other was Bridge to Terabithia. So yeah, I picked those 2 books for another assignment of the same class. So I managed to find all the books that I need. I'm walking back. Now, keep in mind, the children's book I have is Madeline. This little girl notices the back, which shows the scene where Madeline is just looking at the tiger like, cool, kitty. While everybody else is like, nope, stand back. I'm cool over here. You go ahead and interact with the kitty while I'm over here. That's what everybody else is feeling. This cute little girl was basically 2 years old. I asked the mother. It was so cute. She was like, cat. And this was just spur of the moment. I just interacted with her. Just like going down to her level. Like, yeah, it is a cat. And I just played with her. I was just enjoying my time, like, after a long day. It was just a really good day. I was back in classrooms. I was literally 2 classes. One was math, but it was still fun. And another was art, which was even more fun. It was like a light. It was like this perfect day where I was happy. I was joyful. I literally just felt like in this time I got a break. I was happy. And interacting with that little girl just brought joy. This is how emotional I feel. Sorry. No, not sorry. I'm not sorry for crying. I'm not sorry for being me. I need to stop that. Thank you for letting me share. I need to start doing that. It was just a nice moment where I was just playing with the little girl. She was just throwing the dolls across. It wasn't too far. It was just like this little thing where you would do puppet shows, and she was just throwing them on the other side of the curtain, and it was nice. After a while, I went back. I could tell the mother was like, "Thank you for playing with her." I'm like, "No problem." When I also in between talked with the mother, she told me that I was mainly just asking, like, does she like reading books or something? Like, they read a few books, but it's just she likes being at the library, which is great. The best thing you can do is just expose them to the library, expose them to that fun. You can go so much with just exposure to a place, especially if they're just there having fun. They're just there enjoying the time, because that can last for a long, long time. That can leave a huge imprint on a child. So, and not many people I know nowadays enjoy going to the library. So that's like important. It's like super important that you expose them to the library. You just get them familiar with it. If they enjoy it, that's great. That's just after that, I am hot. I am going to turn on this fan. Should have done that sooner. Silly me. So after that, I went to get my stuff, and there's a cafe across the way, and it's Cafe Vernice. Beautiful place. Ugh. Okay, going there in the summer, it is brutal, especially in 90-degree weather. If you're gonna go there in the heat and you're going outside in the nice little outside area they have, get something like cooling to cool down the body temperature, because that's what I had to do. It was like a nice sweet treat, and it was all like refreshing because I got strawberry. And I love that cafe. It's a nice little place. I like to think of it as a good place to get creativity and inspiration. Just that. It was really nice to see that it was opened and that I can enjoy myself and that it was a good day. Wednesday was just what I like to think is the perfect day. If you're in California and you're nearby, I recommend checking it out. Right. Thursday is where things get switched. Now, I've been waiting to hear about my placement for a while because I've been wanting to prepare, wanting to do what is best, all that jazz. Alright? So, I found out. And the school I got placed in is about 30 minutes away from here, in La Puente. Yeah, La Puente. Great. That's like 30-minute drive from here. I don't drive, so it's like an hour or 2 hours by bus. By train, 3 to 4 hours. And I have to be there before 7:45. At least before 8. So usually you would have to be there by 7:30. So I'm like, no. I am not getting up in the dead of night to go on a train or early in the morning to go on a bus just to get there. That would only take 30 minutes by car. I'm sorry, it ain't gonna happen. Not in a lifetime. Which leaves me with a problem. I can do Lyft and Uber, but I also have my dad, who does that as well, and it can be flexible. I worked it out with him. We're cool with it. We worked that out. We figured it out. So yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare. I was dealing with a lot of like panic, and because of that, it also kind of made my whole brain just like blank out. I don't know what exactly happened. I just think my brain just got so much shock and nightmare and everything, it just like blinked out. Because Friday, I woke up feeling like I didn't know, like a deer in the headlights. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. Like, I tried to push through it. But it was like blank expression from yesterday. That's where my brain was at. And I'm trying to get over it. I think Friday, all of my classmates, all of my blockmates, were just over it by then. We were just like done. it was a long week. We all just wanted to relax. And to top it all off in the morning, I was trying to get the stinking Wi-Fi from the school to work for me because I had a photo on my phone, wanted to get onto my laptop so I can put it in the Padlet. You can probably look that up, but essentially it's just an easy way for people in class to post stuff about a subject or whatever. But anyway, I'm digressing. And you can submit photos and comments. So yeah, it was super annoying. I was trying for a while to figure this out. It was just sad. And I was just drained after, like, tired. I was just pushing through the day. And I think we all were at that point. So yeah, at that point, we were all tired. We were all exhausted. And after class, I was just chilling. Because I was just tired. I was exhausted. I just wanted to have a little bit of fun. Kind of like I'm doing now. But yeah, that's essentially... We were all just, like, struggling. Struggling to get through the class, the last class. On a good note, we all finally got a way to communicate with one another through Discord, which is great. We're all talking to each other, we're all helping each other out, because we're all in this together. Alright. Now, I've been through my week, so we're going to get to the topic of my podcast. Where my story begins. So basically in this podcast, I will tell you what's been going on week by week. And then, if I have time left, which I do, I'll talk about myself. Or anything that's on my mind, really. So, today, I'm gonna talk to you about where the hell my journey begins in teaching. Because, I mean, that's the main question. Where did I get this passion for teaching? Where did I start? Where did this all come from? And to know all about that, you gotta know the beginning of the story. Right. When I was little, okay. I'm hearing music out there, but you guys aren't. Because, one, I have this. Two, it's all the way over there. It's not going to pick up from either mic, no matter what. And I'm doing that because, DMCA. And yes, that's a thing. Where it started was when I was a little in elementary school, which is basically where I'm going to start and talk about today. Just elementary. I wanted to be the principal. Don't ask me why. I don't even know. I don't know where it came from. I just wanted to be the principal. I'm a little, and I guess principal was fun and in charge. I don't know why. One of my teachers said you should be a teacher first. Now, I didn't know how the hierarchy of teaching worked. I just thought teachers would teach. I didn't think there was, like, management system. Because that's just how my brain was when I was young. And me, I'm like, okay. Oh. Started on my path to being a teacher ever since. What type of teacher's always changed, what subject has changed, but I'm actually thinking elementary, which is funny because that's where I started with. So I had it right the first time. That I wanted to do elementary. And I'm going to teach elementary school. Between preschool and elementary. I like dealing with the young because I've always been around younger people growing up because they were much easier to deal with than the older, which says a lot about me. Anyway. Something you should know about me that applies to this story and makes sense of why it went down this direction is when I was 4, I was diagnosed with ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. If you don't know what that is, it's very common in children. Well, usually it's common to notice in children because it's the easiest time to spot. It's a little harder around adults and teenagers, but it has happened. Older adults, especially maybe those in their 50s, like, it's possible for an adult to be diagnosed. It's possible for a teenager to be. Once you're diagnosed with it, there's no cure. There's no way to, like, fix it. There's ways to manage it, tolerate it, but not fix it. And that's something people need to understand. I'm glad that a lot more people, I'm getting more familiar with other people who have the same disorder as me. Because I didn't know a lot of people who have ADHD to bounce off ideas with or to kind of, well, bond. So that's just something I'm glad it's being more noticeable. The other thing I have is obstinate defiance disorder, which is just a way of saying at times I've been known to disagree with people without really having any context as to why. A good example would be I'm arguing with my mother and there may not be a need for it. It's just like, I don't want to do that thing because you said so. And if there's no reason for me to know why, then it might be I just want to be defiant, which makes no sense. It's just one of those behavioral things that sometimes doesn't make sense to, it seems out of place. So it just means that sometimes I tend to get a bit, defiant or argumentative. If a child, this is a good example I read in a textbook. A child wants ice cream. They're gonna do everything they possibly can to kind of make it worse for the parent to get ice cream. And that's their way of getting ice cream. Because if the parent just wants them to shut up, they just do it. That's not a good way to solve the problem. The best way to combat this is sort of to stick your ground. Just be like, no, we're not getting ice cream. It'll spoil your dinner. You are coming out here, and we're gonna talk about this when we get home. Sort of like strict. But sometimes that's what's needed to make sure, yeah, I'm serious. I'm not fooling around. You can't pull those tricks on me. I know those tricks. Stop it. So the other thing I have is expressive and receptive language issues. So sometimes I can read a textbook and I'm reading it several times and sometimes it doesn't stick. Same thing with a question. If it's like a wordy question or doesn't really make sense, it's just like I'm reading it several times and I'm just like not getting it at all. Like, it does not register, it's just nothing. That's where I have to, like, I don't understand this question. I don't understand what I'm reading. And sometimes that's the best way I can explain it is sometimes it makes things harder for me to understand and read at times. It's also good to know I've had a bit of a communication problem when I was little in elementary school. Not really fun. Because I was delayed in communication and talking. I didn't think I could talk till about I was the age of 2. Maybe, yeah, till about the age of 2. Which was something my mother noticed right away. And also, to top it all up, I have a learning disorder. Just something that makes it harder for me to learn or understand more than other people. So it also means I can be a bit slow at times in trying to understand what I'm reading and trying to understand what I'm seeing on the test. Ugh. Okay, nowadays, test taking, I'm so glad I have like accommodations to where I can be by myself. Because I'd rather be that because everything else is very distracting. If I'm in a room and I'm taking a test, I feel everybody's eyes on me. Like if I'm doing this, I actually do this to get into my mind mansion. Not mind palace, mind mansion, because I like man. For some reason, I would think it is a mansion, not a palace. And yes, that was something from Sherlock. But I actually have done this way before even that show aired. Because when I was in... I've done this before in like high school or something. Maybe even when I was little. It's just, I like to do this to kind of focus on my memory. To go back to that pathway to the manor and figure out where it is. And because there's a lot stored, it's not where I have to like close my eyes and focus. But if I do that, I feel like people will look at me as if I'm either falling asleep or I'm doing something really weird. It makes me so if I'm like alone, I don't care if like people are having cameras on me. I just want to be able to be in this little cubicle space where I feel like no one's going to judge me, where I can feel like I can focus and work hard on this test. And that's where I'm trying to get my point across, is to get this test going. So I'm super glad that... And if I'm like at home, I can be in here, in my room, where I know that's the least amount of distractions, where I feel safe, where I feel like I'm not going to be looked at as a weirdo. And that's just something I wanted to share. Right. I think I'm going to mention that I was bullied in the past when I was in elementary. With ADHD comes the highs and lows of emotions. So the best way that other people have said is like emotional regulation. Which means one day I could be happy as a clam and the next day I could be down and depressed. It's literally like flip-flopping. And it can be a lot to some people. When I was little and in daycare. By the way, daycare, hated. Hated every minute. Not hated every minute, but I didn't like being there. It felt too restrictive. I didn't feel like I had choices. I felt like I was just walking in prison because it was very set on a schedule. I didn't feel like it felt like they made the choices for me, and that's not really what I want. I want to be able to go outside or do what I please, or maybe just have a bit more fun in between, or maybe put fun somewhere. I don't know. I just hated that it was so restrictive. And that really did not make me comfortable at times. So we're going to the library to do homework, I think. And I go to a different school, so I went to daycare that was from another school. So Whitaker is that way. Beatty is this way. Beatty is where I went to daycare. Whitaker is where I went to school. Beatty is now a middle school, but in the past it was elementary, so that's still mind-boggling to me. Anyway, we're going to the library. 4 girls in my past. Now, these girls might reoccur in this story. They may not. You never know. They called me Crybaby. I wish that was a thing, but Crybaby. Because I was crying a lot. I had a lot of emotions. I was probably having one of my low days. However, they did not. What made it even worse was that one of those girls later on told this guy I used to be friends with, but for some reason, whatever that girl said to him made us enemies. And now he wanted nothing to do with me. I wouldn't say he was bullying me, but he was being a jerk. Because I don't remember a lot of times where he was bullying me directly. He was just being a jerk to me. So, the girls, however, I'd like to say they were probably more bullying me than him. But yeah, we went from like friends to enemies in his mind. I still wanted to be friends with him. Now, I might mention this again next time, but this person that I used to be friends with reoccurs to where at first when I meet him again, he doesn't want to like leave it in the past. He doesn't really want to forgive and forget, but he still leaves me alone. So there's that. And then the last time, like high school, we became more acquaintances, even though he lied to me. And I find out that he lied later on about who he was. Because he mentioned himself as Brian, when really his name was someone else. Never saw him again. Found out he went to another state. Was a troublemaker. He was a bad. He was a bad apple. Funny how that all began. But yeah, it wasn't really fun. The fact that one of the girls mentioned to him that something, because I had a staring problem. When I stared at him, people thought it was creepy. But what people don't understand is, I was actually daydreaming, and sometimes it looks like I'm just staring at people. But my expression is blank. Or at least I feel like my expression is so blank, it looks like I'm staring at people. And I don't notice this, but I know that people have asked me what, and I've kind of clued in that if I'm staring at them for a long period of time, it means I've probably daydreamed again. and I'm staring at their face for some reason. So it's like a person could talk and I could be tuning out and I would have nobody would have any idea. Unless they've noticed that I was just staring at their face for a long period of time without actually talking. Yeah, things you struggle with. Mention daycare. I think I will mention the struggles I had being with special needs, and then my 9/11 experience, and probably end it. All right. Remember all those those disorders and stuff I'm struggling with? Yeah, they're important for this. When I got diagnosed with ADHD, the diagnosis was so bad that the experts told my mother that was their first mistake. I mean, I know it's protocol, but they did not know what would happen next. Those poor souls. They told my mother that my diagnosis was so bad, I might not be able to graduate from high school. Spoiler, I'm in the credential program. I think we all know what happened there. But that would be getting ahead. My mother saw that as a challenge. She was not going to want me to have this certificate of attendance. No, she wanted bigger for me. She wanted me to graduate high school with that diploma and prove all those naysayers wrong. She was just... Luckily, to be a teacher, I had to do good in school. So both of our goals were very much aligned, but for very different reasons. But hey, it helped a bit that I wanted to do well in school. Otherwise, this would have been a whole different lifestyle. I don't even want to think about it. Let's just move on. Growing up at the district I had from like kindergarten and first grade, that district was terrible, according to my mother. They did not listen to my mother's need, what my mother requested, which, by the way, not a good sign. By law, I think they were still new. The special needs laws were kind of new and still working it out, but still, it is against the law in some degree or some way, form, in writing. It says you have to accommodate to special needs kids as well. That means you also have to accommodate to the parents' wishes for the child's needs. So in other words, ignoring my mother, not a good sign. My mother, basically after the first time they tried to pull the wool over her eyes, she always prepared herself for war. Like, she was a lawyer preparing for court. My mother always came prepared for a argument, a fight, verbally, not physically. That would be a whole different story. She always fought for my needs. She always fought for what I needed. So somebody, I'm guessing the teacher, wanted me to do adding and subtracting double digits when I could already do that. And my mother saw that on the plan and she's like, no, we're not doing this. Give me another one. Write another one. I'm not having her do the same thing she's already been doing. No. After that, when the meeting was over, because that's what IEP, because when you're in special needs and you're in special education classes, you have something called an IEP meetings. That's what special needs students have, IEP meetings, which stands for Individualized Education Plan. So a fancy way of saying, how do we accommodate for this person's needs in education? Because I know a lot of these big words are losing translation. So that's why I'm trying to explain as best I can. So as she's leaving the meeting, the school psychologist mentions to the people, I told you not to, I told you about these parents. I told you so. I told you, these parents, they're not normal parents that you're used to. They're not just gonna agree. They actually care. Side note, this is around the early 2000s. Meaning, this wasn't the time of Facebook, or technology was still in its early-ish phase, or in its phase of transition to something bigger. Because the 2000s were new. We were still figuring it out. So it's not like it was simple. And you had to print things out. Before the whole digital phase. This was before the ideas of this. And, well, honestly, this, too. And I think YouTube was, like, young at that point, too. But yeah. That time, parents... You could say that not enough parents cared about their children at that point, or at least around that area. They weren't used to. Let's just say this. These guys were probably not used to my parents, who were parents that cared about their child's education, which is sad to think about, but I'm guessing this doesn't happen often, to where my mother would lay down the law. This would actually change around the time of high school, but for the sake of argument, let's leave it down. Let's leave that for another day. Yeah, people knew that day, don't mess with my mother. She's cared about my education since the beginning. Like I said, I had a communication problem. I wasn't always expressive with my words like I am today, which is ironically funny to my funny little brain. Okay, do you know that trick where you pull the chair from somebody as they're sitting down? And it's a hilarious prank because you do it on purpose. I actually didn't do it intentionally that way. I wasn't very expressive with my words, so I just took the chair. Like, I wanted to sit there, but the person kind of fell onto the floor, so my communication was a bit off. They say actions speak louder than words, and yeah, that was awkward. Though, it does make for a hilarious story. Yeah, I was a different child. I actually, after I got bullied by these people, I stood up to bullies who were bullying other people, such as a person, I think I may have punched somebody, or at least hurt somebody, who was picking on someone else. And I mentioned it to my mother, and then she had to explain the concept of getting the teacher first before you lay down the fists. I was just one of those, I see problem, I react quickly, and I do something. I was impulsive. I just thought right away. I didn't think twice about it. Also, sometimes guys there are these two guys that took another person's lunchbox, and I had to chase around getting it back to the person they took it from. Because I was a nice person. I wasn't afraid to chase around these idiots just to get a lunchbox back, because that wasn't nice. So with all this in mind, imagine me having to throw rocks over this fence that's about close to this property, which was, I'm guessing, the new library they were building. And I was doing it with these boys. Now, I'm guessing at the time I wasn't very social, or I was probably one of that awkward child phase. And I just got curious. Don't know how. I just did. The teacher noticed that it was bad that I was throwing rocks with these kids, because it wasn't a good thing, because it's still like you're kind of close to damaging property. But at the same time, I was socializing, so it was kind of like a mixed feeling, because at least you're seeing the child do something. You're seeing them socialize. You're seeing them break out of the shell, which is good. So it's kind of like a... I can only imagine what that teacher had to tell parents. Be like, so yeah, your daughter was socializing, but it was sort of a mixed situation because she was doing something not great. Oh, that counts? I think I will end with my 9/11 experience. 9/11 is September 11th, 2001. I was just in second grade, starting second grade. It was a normal day. We were all learning. I don't remember what I was doing. I do remember being in the room somewhat. Now, I saw this twice. The news footage twice, to keep in mind. First time, I was just in the classroom learning or doing something, and my teachers were scrambling over to the television, or like we're told, turn on the television, something's happened. And I'm like a child, like really young, so I have no understanding of what's going on, but I was smart enough to know something was up. Like, something felt very off. Because we don't use the television. Now, this isn't television where nowadays. This was like old televisions where analog videos, like you could put old VCR tapes. Yeah, it's that old, people. Alright? I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. That was like, oh my gosh, 2002. That was 20 years ago? Oh my lord. Oh my lord. We're coming upon 20 years. Okay. I digress. Anyway. So the teachers turn on the news. I see smoke. And I'm kind of getting ideas of something happening. I realized it was New York, because I think they mentioned that it was New York and that it was the Twin Towers. Now, I'm a young child. I didn't know they were important monuments. I didn't know the bigger picture. I just saw it as an accident, not as a terrorist attack. Didn't find out until later. Much later. Which I'm kind of glad that I only saw it as an accident, because I'm a child and I shouldn't really know what bigger things going on in the world. I should just dealing with my own life. The last thing I want to know is anything about terrorist attacks. I was way too young. Personally. And I just thought a terrible accident, all those people, and the damage was so bad. So when I heard it again, So I saw it again at daycare. Also scrambling, went to the wrong channel at first. I don't know why. It was just at the shark, about the shark thing. I don't know what was going on. Then it flipped to more footage of the towers. And I'm processing that this happened the second time. This has to be serious. And then I think I hear it, like, again from my parents. So I knew it was very serious. I knew that it was a big thing happening. It was a tragic accident, to my eyes. Didn't take me till later to realize that was a targeted. These were targeted. Those planes were hijacked. I didn't realize they were hijacked. I just saw the crash footage, which I'm guessing that's what they wanted to be seen at the time. But I just saw on the screen black smoke covering New York. And thinking about it still, all those people that died, I was just a kid when it happened. And I couldn't process the idea of terrorist attacks, targeted. I couldn't process all that because I didn't know. I just knew it was sad. It was tragic. And thinking about it now, thinking about that was 20 years ago. 20 years ago. Wait, I was 6? Maybe 7? 6 turning 7. Yeah, there we go. Oh my lord. That takes me back. Oh jeez. That took me back. Way back. I'm just... yeah. Yeah, I think I will, end with a poem. Ah! I have 2 poems that actually fit this theme. I wanted to end with these poems. More of a positive-ish note. And then we will end. And these are poems I have written. Alright? This one's called So Much to Do. So much to do, so little time. When things needed to be done, time moves fast. But boredom feels still, almost a time loop, or a dream you're trapped in. Why so much? Why so little time left? Can't I have more? And that's the end of that poem. This one's called School Starting. Fitting for this week. School starting. School is coming again. Back again on sleepless nights. The ever-pressing question, the ones that feel like they break when trying. Getting that perfect grade feels impossible, but it's not. Just hard work that wants to break you. Rise above it. Do more work with friends. At least time will fly. The struggle is real for that grade. Hopefully my teachers are kind, sweet people. Hopefully I can at least find a groove the coming term. If not, then my life crashes. At least that's how it always feels. School starting again. I will have the strength to press forward. Yes, I think I will. That's it. Alright. Thank you for watching my podcast. Since this will be going on to YouTube, please check out my other videos, my other stream videos. Maybe you'll enjoy them. Maybe you'll just find it time passing. Also, check out if on YouTube, please check out my Twitch. It is Wakanda _ Forever 10. Also, if you're on Twitch, check out my other stream videos. They should be on to highlights, because Twitch likes to do this thing where it deletes after a certain point, which is super annoying, even if you're like, even if famous Twitch streamers, it expires after 60, but for me, it expires after 14 days, so please check out my streams on YouTube or where you can find them. And I'll see you next week. So, bye.